Hello and welcome to the final game of the first division of the Rhino Showdown. We have, hopefully, a very good game for you tonight. I am Fluffy. I'm proud to be presenting here in lieu of some other people who've been struck by the shedding. With me is Mr. Babs himself.
Hi everyone, it's nice to be here. I'm super excited for today's game, dude.
Yeah, we've got what like I said, what hopefully will be a very good matchup. We've got two teams which, by the results, are very, very close. This will be a head-to-head as XvG Ragnarok look to confirm their third place finish in the first division, while Beasty Boys looks to upset them with that. Beasty Boys looking to steal that away from XvG and solidify their fourth place position. Babs, what are we looking like for the Beastie Boys roster?
I mean, Beastie Boys is a team that has been dominant in ZA Overwatch since their inception, right? I mean, they've always been runner-ups. They've always been, top two. This season, I mean, we've had so many teams show up, and I guess it shows in the way that Beastie Boys are they're fighting for fourth position right now.
If Beastie Boys win this, the best they can do is place fourth. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, but still, even though they've fallen off of form a little bit this season, I mean, just looking at their roster, Shapeshifter on the tank, Trizzle and Bradbears on DPS, and Metal Snow and Squishy on the support players. I mean, this is such a stacked roster. Shapeshifter's been playing ZA Overwatch for such a long time. I mean, I remember seeing him in the ZA Overwatch World Cup team. Trizzle as a DPS player, oh my god, how can we not know Trizzle? Resident Kauza Widow player. Bradbears, mostly a tank player, a really good tank player for that, playing DPS, so maybe we'll see some, hero pool issues there, maybe we'll see some lack of flexibility, but still I've heard he's great on the role. Metal Snow and Squishy, both great support players, however both of them have I guess you want to say flex support hero pool, right? A lack of a main support player from the side of Beastie Boys, but I don't think that means we can count them out just yet.
No, there's some potential issues there, but undeniably a strong roster. And up against them is XvG Ragnarok. We're going to have Lord of Terrans on the tank. We're going to have Lavius and Rinku Haireru on the DPS. And then the supports are going to be KK and Restiosen. It's an interesting head-to-head of players that you would say are... You mentioned all these big names on the side of Beastie Boys. But older names, if you will. Maybe the older names maybe not doing as well today, but on the other side, so then Beastie Boys are looking to say yes, we still have that prowess that we used to have, but then an up and coming team on the side of Ragnarok. We have players that we've seen in the scene for a while, like Rinku Haireru, KK, Restiosen, Lord of Terrans, and then obviously Lavius. Lavius is undeniably a very strong DPS player, one of the most successful players in the local scene, who won tournaments back with Goliath Gaming, and it's a team that is built around really, working as a team together, covering any potential weaknesses with working as a team. So maybe it's going to be interesting head-to-head there, while we have, maybe some individual heroics on the side of Beastie Boys, and then some cohesion from the side of Ragnarok coming out.
Yeah, I really like what you said there, where Ragnarok likes to play around team play and cohesion. I mean, Beastie Boys, we know them for their big moments, their standout moments, where one player comes in clutch. Ragnarok, just a pretty solid team that's able to stand together as five. So I'm really interested in seeing the two, I guess, ideologies come to play.
Masher style.
Yeah, the Masher styles, where it's one team is okay, we're just gonna leave this our players to play off their instinct, and one team playing organized, practiced, drilled in Overwatch. It's gonna be a great gameplay.
Yeah, we're going to go over to map 1, which is going to be Lijiang Tower, selected by a higher ranked team. Let's quickly talk about some of the potential outcomes here. So if XvG win this match, they finish third. End of story. Regardless of the scoreline, if XvG win this series, they finish third. But it gets tricky when we now talk about Beastie Boys. If Beastie Boys win 3-2, they finish fifth. and Ragnarok finished third. Eulogy finishes fourth. If Beastie Boys wins 3-1, Ragnarok finishes fifth, Beastie Boys finish fourth, and Eulogy finished third. If Beastie Boys win 3-0, Eulogy finishes third, Beastie Boys finishes second, and Ragnarok finishes fourth. So I fully suspect all of Eulogy are going to be watching this match and praying for the Beastie Boys sweep.
I mean, it really just shows us how close our upper division has been this leg so far. I mean, one map differential separating 3 high tier teams. It's coming down to the wire, literally.
Those 3 teams, very interesting results between them, because Eulogy beat Beastie Boys, XvG beat Eulogy. So now if Beastie Boys beat XvG, it creates a nice little triangle of results there, showing, just like you said, just how close these teams are in the middle of that upper bracket.
I mean, you know what they say, the ball is around. I guess this isn't football, but pause already.
It wouldn't be local Overwatch without a pause.
I guess this gives us the chance to talk about the map. I mean, Lijiang Tower, what can we expect to see in terms of comp?
I think what will be very interesting to see is, obviously, with the recent patch update to particularly one tank hero, Junker Queen. Junker Queen received a ridiculous buff and is quite dominant at the moment. So we already can see on the side of Beastie Boys, Shapeshifter has selected the Junker Queen. I think it's likely that they will be playing that Junker Queen tonight. It'll be interesting to see how if XvG decide to match that, because we do know Lord of Terrans likes to play the Junker Queen. But for now, they're going to be going with a very aggressive disruption dive style composition with the Wrecking Ball. This might cause issues for the backline of Beastie Boys with their Ana and their Zenyatta.
Yeah, I mean, just starting us off, 2 different ideologies and playstyles in terms of comps already. And Beastie Boys with the more brawly comp, and Ragnarok with the dive comp. And we see them going right in. The Sombra gets the hack off from the Cassidy, and brilliant execution from the side of XvG and Ragnarok. Getting that pick, not overextending, and just playing with their strengths. You know, Tracer able to get in there, help with the pick, Sombra with the pick, Ball going in, diving, and just playing well, just poking away, traumatizing the backline of Beastie Boys.
You say that, but it's that pick onto Lord of Terrans is dangerous, but the teams are trading back and forth, playing this very, very slowly. The Sombra is getting good work from the side of XvG, but Lavius just keeps shooting, just dinking things. Look at, he's already got 80% ult charge.
Yeah, I mean, a scrappy fight already, seeing the ball go in, but the ball can't play too aggressive in the Sombra on the NV team, and that's where we've seen the difference. Oh my god, what a big boo from the ball player on the side of Ragnarok. Lord of Terrans coming through on that Wrecking Ball character, and it looks to be like the straw that broke the camel's back, because just after that, the fight begins to collapse and Ragnarok take the first point.
It's going to be interesting now. The interesting to look out for is, can XvG Ragnarok sustain on point? I think we're going to see Beastie Boys trying to take control of point and just use that Junker Queen to pressure their backline. We've already seen XvG are looking to push into the backline of, and that's a very good dragon, a really good engage.
I mean, it's so well played from the Hanzo play on the side of Ragnarok, getting that ult up so far, just showing how much damage the Hanzo play is doing and how much pressure they're putting on the tank on the side of Beastie Boys. I mean, it's so perfect. Another hack onto the Junker Queen, a fast engage from the ball onto the Junker Queen, now harassing the backline. Ragnarok are just playing this so well and so coordinated, like a well-oiled machine right now.
Very patient play, very disciplined. We're seeing very good coordination between Lord of Terrans on the Wrecking Ball and Rinku Pyreru on the Sombra, and that's an excellent pick. That's a wonderful pick onto the Sombra, because that's the threat for Lord of Terrans. They're going to come into an ult fight now. Interesting, we're going to have both support ults for both teams, so this could be a very ugly fight. We're going to see EMPs from both sides. I worry about the Junker Queen ult, I forget what it's called, but hopefully we see a good Suzu from the side of KK to maybe cleanse that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the side, we're looking on the Kiriko for the side of Ragnarok. I mean, the entire fight stands on the Kiriko, and being able to shut down that rampage. We see a Nano Junker Queen, and looks like Beastie Boys are ready to push in. They start off with an early pick, and they're going with ults. I mean, Ragnarok are replying. We see a late Suzu, but a perfectly timed one, and an early B. Looks like the Lucio player on the side of Ragnarok thinks this is winnable, and I think so too. Let's start 4v4 if I'm not mistaken. Ragnarok might be having the better spawns, and it looks like it's helping with the execution on the Zen player. So well played with the isolating of the background, and during this entire long fight, Ragnarok still have the point, hitting up to 90% now. Big EMP, but there's no follow-up from the side of
Nice,
Beastie Boys. The Sombra player is just alone. All the standing is a trace to play, but no, they're felled by that bow of Lavius.
That looks to be that, unless we can see a Zoom Yada, but doesn't look like Swishy is going to try it. Very interesting matchup. We spoke earlier in the game how maybe we're going to see head-to-head of individual plays versus team cohesion, and we've certainly seen the team cohesion from the side of XvG Ragnarok. The Wrecking Ball combined with the Sombra worked excellently together. We saw wonderful plays with Lavius taking that off angle, causing an issue for them, and they kept just getting picks and picks and picks. And now we're going to see an interesting head-to-head. We're going to see both teams swap, and we're going to see them swap to Reinhardt's. So completely different from the previous map. We spoke about the issue with the Beastie Boys support lineup, but we're going to have Squishy going on to the Lucio. A hero he's not traditionally known for, but we'll see how he plays. Obviously, he's a very talented player, has performed very well in the past on different heroes, but we've yet to see him really excel on the Lucio.
I mean, looking at the comps, very similar but very distinct differences in the Ana versus the Baptiste. We know Metal Snow tends to favor the Ana, and it's his comfort hero, and I feel like playing into the comfort hero is what Beastie Boys need to work with right now. An early wall-off and the tank and Reaper player isolate, but Ragnarok navigate to the side. Oh, what a great pick from Lord Terrence. Just showing that MTD, showing up on the Reinhardt. Oh my god. Shapeshifter, a well-known Reinhardt player, and Terrence just showing up on the Reinhardt. Well-placed wall from Rinku Harari on the Mei, and perfect execution from Ragnarok. This is just complete cohesion. They're playing as one unit.
I was going to say, that was an excellent play from Ragnarok with that Mei wall, really isolating Shapeshifter, meaning that Metal Snow was irrelevant to that point. Oh, but that's a dangerous pick. Trade back and forth, but that pick onto KK is even worse. That's probably going to see Beastie Boys taking this. That was a bad pick for Ragnarok to lose, and then it kind of snowballed out of the way. And I think Lavius is just going to stall on point, or he's going to try to get out at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the insta pick under the J Silly and the insta value. I mean, that's what you get when you have J Silly on your team, right? You're looking for that big lumps of damage, that random kills that no one's expecting, and the tank player from the side of Ragnarok just isolated. Oh my god!
Big shadow. Can they get value? Oh, the counter shadow!
Oh my god! This is a messy fight. The chaos already ensuing. And it looks like Beastie Boys are well favored, but
no, losing your Reinhardt. The Reaper is playing as a quasi tank there in a front line, and not much the Reinhardt can do into the Reaper. And it looks like XvG is winning this fight, unless Beastie Boys are going to throw ults at this, but I don't think they are. I think they're just going to stall out and then look to regroup. Trizzle's going to stall on points. He's going to ice block. Metal Snow is coming back, so is Shapeshifter. I think it's just stall at this point.
That's a fat anti.
It's a fat anti, but there's nothing to really capitalize on it. We're going to see a window used to just clear things up. Maybe a bit unnecessary, but you know, rather win the fight than have it go on stalling out.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're Beastie Boys, you don't hate that. You're able to stall out the point a little longer. You got window out. That's a key ult. There's not that much frontline pressure at the choke anymore because there's no window for that window fire strike combo. So as Beastie Boys, you're able to push through free. And with the Mei ult and the Reinhardt isolation, we're going to see that regressive.
Oh, but a good beat.
What a wall and what an immortality field. Again, Ragnarok is coming up with the great team support for this. Double kill from the Reaper player on the side of Ragnarok, but it looks like it's not going to be enough. With the beat from the side of Squishy and the numbers on the side of Beastie Boys, it looks like Beastie Boys are going to call on the rest of the points.
Yeah, 3 ults on the side of Beastie Boys for 2 ults on the side of XvG Ragnarok. Death Blossom tried to get value, but maybe just a little bit late. We're going to have a call for a pause there. You think maybe Lavius' ult was just a little bit late after that tire came out? It was a very back and forth fight. You think there with that ult usage, but maybe just a little bit more, maybe XvG Ragnarok waiting a bit too long to decide that fight, being too reactive to the Blizzard and the tire.
Yeah, I agree. I think I really want to see that same proactiveness that we saw from them on the first map, where they were setting up that dives with the Sombra and going in. I feel like they could have done that with the Mei ult or the Reaper ult, but like you said, they're playing a little passive, and Beastie Boy is taking advantage of that. The early Mei ult, the early push in with the Junkrat tire. Well played from the support staff of Ragnarok. I mean, great Mei wall to cut off the isolation of the Reinhardt. Great immortality field, but I guess the ult storm of Beastie Boys is just too much to withstand.
It's going to be an interesting next fight coming up, because on the side of Beastie Boys, we've got the Metal Snow still has his nano boost. He didn't use it last fight, and then during that fight, Shapeshifter built up his Earth Shatter. Those are the only 2 fights, only 2 ults anywhere near on the side of Beastie Boys. So they're really going to have to get value out of those ults. Probably we're going to see Nano Boost coming onto the side of Shapeshifter, and then maybe a Shadow coming out. On the other side, though, massive ult is the Mei Blizzard. Rinku Harari still has his Blizzard, he didn't use it last fight, and Terran is probably the closest to Shatter. we could maybe see some shadows going against each other, like we saw in the previous in a previous fight. But really, this is, can Shapeshifter's Shatter get value, or will Rinku Hareru get value out of his Blizzard? This is the head-to-head for this next fight we're coming to. And if Beastie Boys win this fight, it's really now dangerous for XvG, because they don't really have any ults for next fight coming online. We're going to hope to see XvG Ragnarok building ults for the next fight, because if they don't, the next fights could be dangerous for them.
Yeah, what I want to see is Beastie Boys going aggressive. You know, like you said, they have that nano that gives you that damage reduction and a damage boost on the Reinhardt. So he's allowed to swing freely and maybe look for their shadow, pressure the enemy Reinhardt. I'm not sure if Ragnarok are aware that Shapeshifter is coming up in the shadow. I mean, Shapeshifter and Terran using the shadow in the same fight. So it'll be interesting to see how they play around this. And it's an early May.
Oh, it's a good Blizzard.
Oh, that's what I love to see. That proactiveness from the side of Ragnarok is exactly what I think they needed, and it works out in the favor of them. Ragnarok now up in numbers, and it's like all they can do now from the side of Beastie Boys is sort it out with the Lucio player. Again,
yeah,
so well played from the May player, just chucking that Blizzard in, isolating him up with the wall, and the rest of the team taking advantage of that.
Yeah, Rinku Hareru is someone who has improved tremendously in the last year, and his May is in particular one of those heroes that has improved tremendously. Excellent walls we're seeing from him tonight. Now we're going to see that same head-to-head. Oh, it's a fat shadow! Oh,
it is an empty deep. I've ever seen one. Oh my god, I
lost.
Oh my god, I'm getting feelings of, you know, Kashi Delisi just manifesting in a lot of Terran. That was so well played.
Who's that? I only know Terran Lord.
Oh my god, and you know, Shapeshifter normally the Rhino player, but Terran just
charges the backline. Oh, it's a good shadow though. No, he heard us. He heard us.
This is lovely Overwatch. I mean, any game of Overwatch where Ryans are consistently shadowing the enemy teams is my favorite kind of gameplay. Just the stall coming around from the Lucio player on the side of Ragnarok, and now Beastie Boys capture the point. Ragnarok's up to 93%. Yeah, well, we won by the way, and curiously, there's a window on the side of Ragnarok, but a May Blizzard on the side of Beastie Boys, and we see them react.
Seeing the Blizzard out, and it's a good Blizzard.
Fat Blizzard.
Oh, I don't think Lavius is gonna get to touch.
Yeah, Lavius gets touch off.
Can they get back?
He uses Fade, he uses TP. The Lucio player Houston might get a touch on, but I'm not sure it's able to do much. And there's 5 people swinging at you on point just to get rid of your stall. Unlucky. Well played from both teams. That was a much closer game.
Terran Lord gets the touch on the Wrecking Ball, but I don't know how. His team is actually coming back. Lavius and Link are back, and KK with the window. Could this be the turnaround? We're also seeing Lavius come up to the window. KK goes down. Lavius goes down on 99% to his ult. I think it might have been a little too little too late, but Link has the Blizzard. Can he do anything with it? No one is in it.
Soul from Ragnarok.
No one's in it. Kill him.
The Lucio player doing so much, but there's a beat coming out from Beastie Boys, and maybe the Reaper touches. If the ball can get him touch, the shadow goes through. It gets both the ball and the Reaper player. Oh,
very, very close. Exceptionally close round. But maybe if we're thinking about it, you know, hindsight is 2020. Maybe not unexpected. We know Beastie Boys favor their brawl comps. Shapeshifter favors the Reinhardt. So maybe not unexpected that Beastie Boys win the map where they go in a brawl head-to-head. Maybe, you know, looking at this from the side of Beastie Boys, obviously that's a good result. They win this map, they win that round, and now they're going to looking to win this map here. If we look at the side of XvG Ragnarok, maybe also not the worst. You know, they won the first round very convincingly, and now they're very, very close in the second round in a style that favors Beastie Boys. So maybe playing a style that's different. Now we're going to see the Pharah and the Monkey. Maybe that's where Ragnarok can maybe get some value, playing these compositions that aren't in the favor of Beastie Boys.
I mean, bold move from Beastie Boys playing the Pharmacy. Lavius, as we know, a masterclass hitscan player. I mean, the Widow player for Lavius is just so good. So I really like the aggressiveness from the Beastie Boys comp with the Pharmacy, but I'd like to see if it's able to get value against a player like Lavius.
Yeah, but Lavius not on a traditional hit scan at the moment, playing Tracer and gets one hit by the Pharah. That's a very good shot from Bradbest, damage boosted by Squishy.
Oh, fat anti as well, and it looks like just the backline and the side of Ragnarok just collapsing after that pick from the Pharmacy. I hope we see the switch coming in. Lavius switching from the Tracer onto the Soldier 76, and now we're gonna see the real fight. Now we're gonna see how much pressure is put onto that Pharmacy, and just how much Ragnarok are able to play around their hit scan player. This is where you need your star hit scan player to show up and put damage onto that Pharmacy, so that the Pharmacy doesn't constantly pepper the backline. And we
Oh,
see
it's
the
a
fight taking
good
place.
hack onto Metal Snow. He's gonna go down. Yes, he is. A good dive onto Metal Snow. That's dangerous from the side of Beastie Boys because now all they have is Squishy, who is being followed around by Lord of Terran. Lord of Terran is gonna go down, but it's still a very even fight, and it maybe favors. And with that pick, maybe you think this favors XvG Ragnarok, but I don't know. The Pharah has Barrage. This could be it for Ragnarok in this fight, and with Lavis going down, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the Pharah player surviving in that brawl is just so difficult for you to fight off. I mean, when your soldier player is picked off, there's no one damaging the Pharah, and the Pharah is just pumping damage into your backline. Okay, we have ults coming up. We have a barrage from the side of Radbest and a pulse bomb from the side of Trizzle. I want to see Trizzle go for an early pulse bomb onto the soldier. Oh, and it's a fat one. He gets the Kiriko player, the barrage from the side of Radbest. He gets the Terran picked off, but there is a res on the side, and I think this is going to be a reset from the side of XvG. I'm not sure if he needed that barrage since, Trizzle's pulse bomb picked off KK on the Kiriko, but I like the security from it. Just making sure you get off that tank player and making sure that you secure the fight win.
Beastie Boys still have 3 ults, so it's not the worst thing. We find Ragnarok are in a dangerous situation now because they have a lot to work against, and with Link going down, we're singing his praises, but that's bad. And it's the ults is against Ragnarok.
Yeah, I mean, and we see a big. Oh my God, Shapeshifter jumped up the mat. Maybe this is an opening for Ragnarok. I mean, they came in with the soldier ult. The soldier is curiously picked off, but they still have the numbers, I think, and overall the manpower. Oh, Squishy isolated on point, and looks like he's gonna get picked off. The hack onto the Pharah player. Pharah's taken down. Trizzle just there to sort it out, but Ragnarok are at 99, and it's 99 to 0. I mean, Beastie Boys at 99. Ragnarok trying to pick off the Winston player. Winston gets a pick onto the Lucio. I don't think we'll see any ults committed. I mean, Beastie Boys don't have any ults. But, wow, 99 to 0.
Maybe a small misplay there from Shapeshifter diving in when they've already hit 99 and just feeding that ult charge. Yes, he got some ult charge, but in the end he just fed ult charge to his opponents. Lavis switches off the Pharah onto the Trace. You think maybe just can get back and contest, but now Brad Best is very uncontested in the sky. So it's going to be on the team play of XvG to deny that space, and that's a dangerous pick onto Lavius.
Metal Snow with a big pick onto the Tracer player. A big EMP. Oh my God, that's a 5-man. I want to see Ragnarok take control of this. They get 1, they get 2. The Kiriko player is being booped around. Oh my God, great EMP. A little, I think, maybe overcommit on the beat, but it looks like Beastie Boys are falling.
If they win, it's probably fine, in which they look to be doing. But that was well played, denying the space to Brad Best on the Pharah and playing aggressively. And you think when you lose someone early in a fight like that, you have to invest ults. It's if you lose someone, you go into a 4v5. You have to invest ults to make that fight even, and they did. And that was a very good fight from XvG. You worry about them; they only have their pulse bomb and their Kitsune. Kitsune may be enough to win a fight on its own, but into that Pharah barrage, you don't know because that Pharah barrage can so easily just get a pick.
And we're looking for Trizzle for a pulse bomb. We've seen Trizzle hit them before, and we know he can hit them. So I want to see Ragnarok playing a little bit scared, looking out for that Trizzle play. Oh, and the ultimate's just too much. The DPS player's getting fixed. Lavius gets 1 back on Shapeshifter, but that's just revived instantly. And it looks like we're seeing the map go to Beastie Boys.
It looks to be, we're seeing Rinkoharu stalling, and he was first back because he died first, and it's an unfortunate trend that we've seen in this map of XvG dying first in fights. It is stall at this point, and no ults really to stop it. They don't have their Kitsune even to try bring this out. There it is, but there's no one to be able to get value out of it. And map 1 is going to go over to the side of Beastie Boys.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the Pharah was just too much for them to handle on Night Market. I mean,
you wonder if maybe that 1v2, this one soldier versus the Pharah and the Mercy is a bit difficult when you don't have, playing into that, it can be quite difficult. Maybe a compositional swap from the side of XvG was needed, maybe. And there's that boop that we saw from Terra Lord. On the other hand, maybe Beastie Boys have woken up. I mean, that being said, these maps were very, very close. All 3 of them were very close, and the third one was probably the most one-sided. I should say the first one was very on the side of Ragnarok. Second one was very, very close, 99-99. The third one was quite one-sided on the side of Beastie Boys, despite what the scoreline said. We're going to see XvG pick the next map, and maybe they've identified this Pharah is a problem for them, and maybe they're going to deliberately pick maps that are suited to them and not Beastie Boys playing Pharah.
Yeah, I mean, if the Pharah keeps struggling them, I'd like to see them play like a ball comp, maybe a little more mobile comp that doesn't have.
We saw that on the first round, and they were very good at it.
They were so good at it. Their cohesion and the Sombra play, the working on the hacks, so well. Blizzard World, it's a very sniper heavy map sometimes, but we know Dive can work on this world. So
yeah, Pharah can be quite strong on point one. Tricky at times to play, but maybe that's an angle that Beastie Boys can approach. Of if this Pharah is something they've identified as something they want to use. This maybe is something that you're correct. Maybe this is a map that XvG Ragnarok can practice. Maybe this is a map certainly on map 2 where Wrecking Ball can thrive. These long open sight lines, and then they can dive effectively. But it remains to be seen how well that can work on third point, and then first point is maybe a bit 50-50 in this head-to-head. I think it'll be very interesting to see, in particular, what the backline of Beastie Boys do. We saw on the first round, when they tried to play their double flexible composition, how easily XvG tore that apart. But then when we saw more main support thrown in there, we saw Squishy playing the Lucio, we saw him playing the Mercy, they had far more success. So maybe a hero pool issue. I thought we were going to see Life Weaver for a second.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything because I knew if there's anyone who's going to troll us, it'll be Beastie Boys.
But they are on defense.
Yeah.
No, I don't think, if I'm honest, I don't think we're going to see any Life Weaver today, and I think that's for the best.
Yeah, I mean, okay, looking at the Beastie Boys comp, a little bit confusing. I mean, the Soldier with the Rhino and the Widow, it feels like the comp is doing two different things. Maybe I'm not seeing the vision, but I guess they're trusting that Drizzle Widow.
I worry about the fact that they're not playing the Lucio with the Shapeshifter on the Reinhardt. This is potentially something that XvG can abuse. I think we're going to see Restioson swap off of Brig when he realizes what they're playing into. I don't think he's going to play Brig into the Reinhardt. Potentially going over to a Mercy, I think that's most likely, helping Rinkuhero in the air. If Beastie Boys can play this right, they should have this with the Reinhardt playing aggressively into the Sigma, but then again he doesn't have that Lucio speed, so he can't just walk at them. So maybe XvG have the edge there because they can just back up and keep spamming them out.
Yeah, we're saying this already. I mean, Rhino taking up space but not able to move side to side and can't help his players on the other side. Lavius with the early pick, taking advantage of the Rhino's lack of speed and getting the pick up from the flank. Drizzle's taking a lot of pop shots, but none of them seem to be landing on anyone's heads. Ragnarok with the numbers advantage, and I want to see them push in. Rinkuhero engaging onto the side of Baptiste, getting ahead of the Stitchy, gets rid of the Immortality, gets rid of the Baptiste himself with his bombs, and the Beastie Boys team just falls apart. I mean, I don't understand the Rhine comp.
XvG played that perfectly. Exploiting the weakness of the lack of Lucio, they just played it slow and did what their comp needed to do. They just broke that shield, played split angles, and excellently played that. We're going to see a swap on the side of Beastie Boys onto the a Kiriko and a Monkey, so maybe a Tracer. So a far more aggressive composition, and now we're going to see Restioson probably get value out of his pick because he's going to thrive into a Monkey and Tracer.
Rinku taken out early by the Baptiste. We know Baptiste does so much damage when left alone, and we know Squishy can hit those shots. Maybe a little bit of a, not a very influential pick, since I think we're still pushing point, cleared past the choke point, but an oversight from the Echo player. Beastie Boys is taking up space.
It's two picks now on both DPS that is forcing XvG to take a moment and reset and maybe giving some time to Beastie Boys. Again, you worry about the slow composition that XvG is playing. Can they really get value into this aggressive composition that Beastie Boys are playing? If Lavius gets picks like that, yes they can.
Lavius with an early pick onto the Kiriko. I think the Kiriko is playing in the background and a Dragon onto the Tracer. That's not something we see often, but the Hanzo player is showing up in Lavius. So well played from Lavius, and then Rinkuhero getting the Baptiste with the beam. Shapeshifter with the primal rage in the backline. I don't understand it considering he lost his Kiriko player early and his team slowly fell apart.
Maybe a swap?
Maybe, but I don't know. He just swapped onto the Winston.
He's not swapping, no. It's I think, like you've said, XvG have the edge with the compositionally at least. XvG have the edge, and we're really looking at Beastie Boys trying to make these individual plays to get value. And now we're going to see a Monkey dive on the side of XvG with the Echo Dupe.
An early Echo Dupe onto the tank of Beastie Boys, and Rinkuhero is on the Monkey in the background. Unlucky, the Monkey gets taken off super quickly. That health nerf for Overwatch 2 just coming into effect, and we see the rest of Beastie Boys collapsing onto Ragnarok. Such a I want to say it looks like a fragile team to dive. I mean, the break player should be doing more, but I don't know if Restioson can do so much when there's so many things flying at you, and the Widow threat is there as well. It's just, I like this comp from Beastie Boys. I think it's working well.
bad fight for XvG because they invested ults and Beastie Boys didn't, and yet Beastie Boys won the fight. So you made me think a bit worrying there. I'm not sure if I agree with you. I'm not sure I like the backline of Beastie Boys, but given their hero limitations, I think that's fair enough.
Oh, Squishy with an early pick again.
DPS
Lavius trades it back. And
that's a big
Sigma
flux.
ult. I don't think... Oh, the immortality field doesn't get the Kiriko, but because she falls past the rock, the Sigma isn't able to isolate her. And it looks like the backline of Beastie Boy is able to survive. Shapeshifter in the enemy's backline with the Primal Rage again, but he's so isolated. His health is falling so fast, and it looks like Ragnarok is able to isolate the main tank of Beastie Boys and pick him off. The main tank is picked up, but Bradbears gets rid of Lavius on the Tracer, and Squishy gets rid of a lot of Terran. Looks like capitalizing on the, the focus on the Winston player and the DPS and supports of Beastie Boys, just capitalizing on the isolated players of Ragnarok. I mean, that Sigma was so far ahead from his team.
Yeah, I don't know if that was maybe a good play, but it was certainly a play. We had both tanks doing interesting things in the backlines of the other team, and both dying for it. Both tanks, I think, misplaying there, but Beastie Boys getting the better of it from their tank's misplay. Rally is going to be coming out, and this hopefully should be enough to push. We're going to see a swap onto D.Va. I mean, good swap, I think. Help Link a lot more with his engages.
An early rally from Restios, and it staves off the dive for a little bit, but
it doesn't get much value. No. XvG are staging these fights, but they're not doing anything with it. They're not getting positional advantage. It's just a bit of a melee at the moment. A good nade there forces Shapeshifter back, and he does go down for it. This should hopefully be the fight win at the very least. Hopefully that if XvG play this right, they can stagger these kills enough to solidify this point.
Squishy looks to be staggering himself as well with the immortality field, but his tank is there to help him. I mean, that was a great play from KK. I mean, getting a nade on 3 of the divers, getting that Kiriko, getting that Tracer and the monkey, and the rest of their team isolating on that. Again, the echo with the monkey view into the backline, a little bit of a far dive. Ooh, and no one able to touch.
Oh, the C9!
It's well, I mean, what can I say, dude? C9 and Beastie Boys were looking so good on that hole, and again, they're winning the fight, but the C9 is just too much, man. I mean, all of this is worth nothing.
Beastie Boys, Beastie Boys use Window and use Kitsune Rush. Kitsune Rush in particular, a hugely impactful ult, and they win the fight off it. But then they just don't contest point, and XvG cap, and then the respawns for XvG come back and kill all of Beastie Boys, and now we're right back to just XvG pushing the cart, and Beastie Boys have lost 2 of their most important ults.
Yeah, the tank players fighting for the high ground. Another early rally. I like this rally from Dressyosen. It kind of stops the dive, but Shapeshifter still goes in. He knows he has the Primal Rage, and he goes in. But a sleep from KK onto the Winston player, and he was out of the fight. A bomb from Terran doesn't get anything but gets the immortality field, and it looks like Beastie Boys coming on top again.
Yeah, good Primal Rage there from Shapeshifter. Really opened that up, got some important picks with it. On the other side, we saw Lord of Terrans using his D.Va Bomb to remake, which didn't really get the most value. Forced out the lamp, really. Nothing really else. We're going to see some swaps. We're going to see Terran swap onto the Monkey, but go straight back to D.Va, and we're going to see Lavius onto the Reaper. I think that's a good swap. It might mean that Terran Lord is a bit isolated, but he can play this in a very counter-divey style. Really making Shapeshifter have a bad time, especially with Lavius.
A lot of pressure getting on his shape. Oh, and he gets picked up early. But the counter pick from Trizzle finds the break on the side of Ragnarok, and Bradbears with a pick on the Ana of Ragnarok. No support players for Ragnarok, and now missing the Echo. It looks like it's just the D.Va and the Reaper, and the D.Va is not going to get out. Now we see a baby D.Va, maybe getting staggered out, but there's a ledge, so Bradbears makes a decision to get rid of her and winning about. I was going to say, I don't really like the Widow play from Trizzle, but Trizzle showing up in the fight, picking up the break prayer early, leaving that Ana open to the Tracer.
Yeah, we didn't really see the Widow. Yes, the Widow was getting picks. We didn't see it being that influential up until now. That pick onto the brig was very important because that opened up the KK to Bradbears. It meant that he could just dive as he pleased onto the Ana. There's not much that she could do.
An early pick from Tracer onto the Echo.
There it is. Again, another great pick. And this probably looks to be it. A good push from XvG, but probably as far as they're going to get with Terran Lord going down. Rinkareru copying the Kiriko, and he cannot touch.
I mean,
Good push.
yeah, that was a nice aggressive dive from Beasty Boys at the end. I mean, going in there, taking advantage of the support players, maybe not expecting it. You know, with the early pick on the Echo player, maybe there was a little bit of confusion going on in the backline of Ragnarok, and Beasty Boys taking advantage of that. But
Yep.
a far push at the second point from Ragnarok.
Yeah, we said how it's the team play of XvG Ragnarok versus the individual heroism of Beastie Boys, and we saw some of that individual heroism pop up. We saw excellent primal rages from Shapeshifter. We saw wonderful widow shots from Trizzle, and those two very important fights were won by those individual players. And now Beastie Boys keep that momentum and take this second map, as I'm sure they want to, and they need to if they want to finish third, because you know the series is currently in the favor of Beastie Boys, but the tournament is still in the favor of XvG Ragnarok, and Beastie Boys still need to win well if they want to get that good seeding that they feel they deserve.
Ragnarok coming out with an Ramatra comp. I'm not sure I've seen Terran play Ramatra before. I can't say I've watched many of their matches, but I know Terran likes to play the Winston.
Are you saying you haven't watched every single casted game of South African Overwatch?
Unfortunately not. You know, I have Matric going on, so I'm not the most available player or viewer. But look, Beastie Boys staying with the same comp, except for Trizzle. Trizzle going off for the Widow onto the Soldier. You know, Widow more of a defensive pick. And I'd like to see how the dive works into the brawl from the side of Ragnarok.
A Mercy on the side of Ragnarok as well, which you know, makes their backline a bit more susceptible to die, but also enables Lavius and Rico Herrera far more with that damage boost.
An early lamp from Squishy. I mean, it looks like Terran doing a lot of pressure onto Shapeshifter. Oh, but what a well-executed dive. Just smashing the Hunter player, and that means the backline is looking at the monkeys, so the tank is all alone, and that Bradbear's doing well to execute on that, just isolating the lone Ramatra, and wow, that was an almost perfect dive from Beastie Boys. I mean, they had their lamp first early, and they just took advantage of the rest.
Yeah, but some positional misplay there from the side of Ragnarok. Terranord playing very, very aggressive, which opened up the monkey, just ignore him and dive onto the backline, which is exactly what happened. Keke playing on the low ground, got dived. Rinko Herrera playing way too close, instantly got burst down. At that point, you're 2v5, and it doesn't matter what individual plays you can do, the fight's over at that point. So a misplay there, I think, positionally from XvG. We see a swap off the Ashe onto the Widowmaker from Lavius, double sniper into the sniper head-to-head between Trizzle and Lavius should be quite interesting. But I think it's fair to say Lavius is going to be the far more pressured Widowmaker. He's going to have the Tracer and the Monkey to deal with.
Metal Snow showing up. It's not a support player. It's not a healer, it's a support player. And the king of picking up the Hanzo. KK picks up Shapeshifter, and Shapeshifter seems to be dying early. It looks like the damage from the Widow is doing a lot. And the teams are scavenging for the high ground. Oh, Trizzle with the pick, and Lavius following right back with the trick onto Trizzle. Metal Snow is in the enemy backline and finally isolated by Ricky Herrera. But Beastie Boy is getting some push-ups there. A very aggressive play from the Kiriko on the side of Beastie Boys.
Yeah, Shapeshifter really forcing out Link here. He's trying to get him with that Primal Rage. I'll interested to see if he can, because this is a very aggressive Primal, and Rinker does has his Brigitte and his Ana with him. Lavius picks up Metal Snow. Again, this match at times feels like deathmatch. You know, the which Widowmaker is landing more shots. It's going deep into the enemy backline and trying to get picks that way. The cohesion that we wanted to see from XvG isn't really there. It's these long fights that are more deathmatch than fight. We want XvG to just stop, reset, and take the fight as they want, because now we're seeing Beastie Boys come up to second point, and they have a massive time lag.
Yeah, I mean, both tank players confusing me a little. I mean, Shapeshifter with the weird Primal, and then Terranlord just staying in the enemy backline, even though his team is getting attacked. But it looks like that really doesn't matter. And Nano onto the Ramatra, and Ramatra's able to pick off two enemies backliners, and Ragnarok taking advantage of that. Well played from the tank player of Ragnarok, just showing up after maybe a positional mishap, showing up that his mechanics can make up for his brain sometimes.
Yeah, we saw Trizzle did find Lavius in that fight, but unfortunately it was a bit late. Lavius had found two at that point, Terra and Lord had found the other two, and then that one pick doesn't really make up for it. We're seeing a theme in this where Lord of Terrans is playing quite aggressive. Shapeshifter is ignoring him and diving aggressive into the backline, and exactly that. They're trying to put pressure onto the backline and onto Lavius.
That was such a well executed dive. I mean, the Tracer and the Monkey coming together almost exactly on the Widow at the same time, and they pick up the Widow player. Drizzle with no competition picks up Rinka Hareu. Lord of Terrans with the pick onto the Kiriko, but Shapeshifter has the Baptiste with the window to back him up with the healing, and Terran looks alone. Ana player is providing as much healing as she can, but without DPS players in the mix, I feel like Ragnarok are at a disadvantage. And though we see Terran seems to fall to the enemy Widowmaker, while he's key to die from Shapeshifter, opening up the Ramatra player to the Widow sideline, and then Shapeshifter on the enemy backline. He's on the Ana, he's on the Hanzo. Another Primal Rage of Shapeshifter. I feel like he's getting these every fight. And Brad, Beast, Squishy, and Chisel doing the cleanup.
It's actually a very good play there on the side of Shapeshifter. Lord of Terrans is contesting points and trying to pressure Beastie Boys back. We saw Shapeshifter again ignore him, jump onto the backline, place a bubble, and force the attention of KK and Restioson onto him, which then meant they couldn't heal Lord of Terrans, and Lord of Terrans was picked off in that result. There's actually a very good play from the side of Shapeshifter to create that space for that pick onto Terran Lord, which then snowballed that fight. Trizzle gets the first pick into Lavius, but Brad Best exchanges back.
Brad Best says, I'm gonna make this a 4v4 just to make it fair. Ragnarok switching onto that Sombra Winston, a comp that we've seen them play time and time again, and a comp that's worked for them time and time again. I really like this, switching onto the Winston, challenging Shapeshifter Winston, and that Rinku Hareu Sombra has been deadly when at times.
It's been deadly at times, but it's also been quite famine at times. There's the feast, there's also the famine, because on the last round of the last map, he got picked off early a lot. So hopefully we see the good Rinku Hareu come out. We're going to see, I think, just Shapeshifter dying a bit late.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing really.
a lot of well-placed nano from KK. I mean, the nano onto Lord of Terror into the backline, just isolating the backline, is getting, I think, 2 picks, and then Lavius doing the cleanup, getting a few picks as well.
Only Nano Boost, yes, sites were used, but that's not that influential ult. Nano Boost being the big ult they used, and they're going to come up to their EMP, their Primal, and their Rally, which we're going to see here. Maybe a bit of misuse there, because I don't really see the threat.
Maybe a little early, but...
Fat finger, question mark?
Lavius with a great pick with the Trizzle. So, I mean, the Widow player is just popping off in this half. Terran covering the backline, forcing out the early lamp. Fishy now, no lamp. Kiriko with no TP. Oh, but Trizzle answering right back, getting picked on Lavius. And Terran with the Primal Rage, hoping to do a lot of damage. Shapeshifter with the counter dive onto the Ana player. The Brig is there to help. The Sombra is there to help. It looks like Shapeshifter is alone. No support from his Tracer player. Oh, big Primal Rage just in time to skip out on the EMP. It was so well played from Shapeshifter. But Lavius with the pick onto Tracer.
That's a good play. Maybe they're a little bit misplayed, a little too early from Rinku Hareu, because he almost had the potential to cancel that Kiriko ult. This is a very back and forth fight, and that favors XvG Ragnarok because they have the spawn advantage. The Nano Boost onto Prime, onto the Monkey, that could be big, and indeed it gets value and finds Squishy, KK gets it done, and this is a big fight for XvG after a massive ult investment from the side of Beastie Boys using that Kitsune and Primal Rage, and nothing for it.
Wow, that is coming down to the wire. I mean, the only ults on the side of Ragnarok is the Brig ult, the Rally, and the Widow sites. But Trizzle with the Widow sites the match, and then a Pulse Bomb and from a Tracer player. Tracer player does get hacked, forced to recall early, and looks like Brad Best is gonna have to wait to use his Pulse Bomb. No more early Pulse Bomb for the Tracer player. Terran jumping in gets low. It gets isolated by having support from his Ana and Brig player. Now Rally propped by Restioson. Oh, but Trizzle with the early pick onto KK. No more heals for the Winston player, but Rinku Hareu matching that, getting a pick onto Trizzle, and Lavius getting a pick onto the Shapeshifter, the Monkey of Beastie Boys. None of the teams with a Monkey, but Ragnarok have the spawns, and this is definitely favoring them.
Yeah, a good rally from side of Restioson, but you think maybe he just, went walkies and left his Ana to die as she got dived by the Tracer. But like you said, the spawn advantage is this. They can make these small misplays and get picked because they have that spawn advantage. That's a good dive from Terran Lord, and it forces out the Suzu. And the Primal comes out. We're seeing the Monkey's diving back, but that's a big pick from Trizzle onto Rinku Hareu, especially considering he has that EMP. But that's a huge pick onto Middle Snow. It's a back and forth.
Big Primal, big lamp. Please don't see that.
Oh god.
So, well played from Beastie Boys. I mean, working in that chaos to get picks in the dark, but Such a close game. Such a close map.
It's the second C9 this map.
Oh. It's
Yeah.
not competitive Overwatch with C9s, you know.
Very, very. Listen, if this does end, if Beastie Boys end up taking the next map, I don't think that shows that there's a fair reflection of how close this match has been up until this point. A very, very hotly contested match. I think we're just seeing the things deciding it is both teams are making small misplays here and there. But the misplays of Ragnarok are just slightly more influential than the misplays of Beastie Boys. And we're seeing Ragnarok getting picked first. Like we saw Rinka Herrera going down when he's 80% on his EMP in that last fight. That's so important because that's a big win condition for you in that fight. So like just stuff like that we want to see Ragnarok clean up. We're going to go to Gibraltar, which is one of the most favored Widowmaker maps, one of the strongest Widowmaker maps in the game. So we're probably going to see that Widow head-to-head that we've seen already again, Trizzle versus Lavius. And I think we saw, I might be wrong, I stand to be correct, I think we saw Trizzle picking Lavius more than Lavius was picking Trizzle, but we saw Lavius getting more picks on the rest of Trizzle's team. So, you know, an interesting head-to-head there, and this could be very important in this map, this Widowmaker head-to-head, as I think we are likely to see. Again, this is a map that, you know, it's not going
to... the dive, right? Dive is a very well-played combo in Gibraltar.
Absolutely, it favors the dive composition. So we're not going to see a Reinhardt. Well, we shouldn't see a Reinhardt.
I mean, looking at these teams, you never know what we'd see. Mel's not flashing the live fever on the defense again.
I'm not even acknowledging it.
You know, inside I want to see the live people come up, but I don't think it's happening. You know, Mel's not switching to the Q.
I didn't think for a second he was going to play live fever. I didn't even acknowledge it.
I mean, no, okay. Curiously, there's an Ashe Widow, no Tracer to help the monkey player, and Squishy seems to be switching onto the Ana. Not
no Mercy. You know, you think playing that Ashe could really benefit from a Mercy on the side of Beastie Boys, but again, it is that composition, that hero pool limitation of the Beastie Boys support lineup is they don't have a traditional main support player. Damage-wise, the composition favors Beastie Boys, but you know, as a resistance to the side of XvG are far more resistant to dive. So
Lavius with the early pick on the Trizzle. I mean, Terran taking space on the Winston, just pushing forward, trying to isolate the force on the side of Beastie Boys, forcing the TP from the Kiriko player. Shapeshifter now alone, but luckily gets out. The Sombra player, Rinko Haru, trying to pressure out Metal Snow, forces out an early Suzu. The monkey on the side of Ragnarok is anti, but that's not going to do much to the rest of their push. Oh, Lavius with the second pick under the second BPS.
Oh my god.
Lavius saying, you know what, I am the Widow player. Gets 3 picks, maybe 4 picks in a fight. He gets picked up, but I think he got his one. Shapeshifter all alone. Just an alt bank right now for Rinka Herrera and Riciosen, and Bradbest does pick off a lot of Terran, and you know the spawns on the side of Beastie Boys coming through. Ragnarok, what a well-placed first push, I must say.
Widowmaker can kind of do that. You could get the picks and just like win the fight because you know you clicked ahead, you know, forehead. But it's on the team, you know, Widowmaker.
Oh my
wonderful
god!
Widowmaker isn't just click; it's also you have to give the space for that Widowmaker. So with Widowmaker being so important on this map, it's how you play around your Widowmaker and which team plays around the Widowmaker better is very, very important. You know, you've got to make that space, take that attention for that Widowmaker, for your Widowmaker then to get the picks. Hopefully we see more of that, like that XvG did that so well, allowing Lavius to get those picks. A wonderful first push, like you said, but nothing's really happened here, and then again, a great
Shapeshifter taking up space, holding their advantage. Squishy does have the nano, choosing not to put it onto their Western player. Kiriko missed the TP, cannot help an Ana player, and Terran with a dive in the backline, picking out the supports. Lavius just popping off. Shapeshifter with a primal rage, but I'm not sure it matters. Big stick from the side of Bradbest, picking up the Ana player. Now, this might be a fight we're looking for. Oh, the EMP, they shut it out though. Shapeshifter isolated, picked off due to the EMP of Rinka Haru, and I think this might be it. Trizzle trying to get him last pick, but well played from Ragnarok, and their dive just so much cleaner right now.
Yeah, it's kind of an inverse of the previous map where we were seeing that Trizzle was getting these early picks onto Ragnarok, which was then putting a spanner in the works of Ragnarok and meaning they couldn't really execute the composition as they wanted to. And now we're seeing the opposite with Lavius getting these early picks. And it's meaning that XvG have free reign to dive and be aggressive as they want. We see Rink getting a lot of space, Terran getting a lot of space, and Beasty Boy struggling because they're always 1 down, 2 down, whatever it is.
Terran with the early dive onto the Widow, trying to just take control of the spaceship, and he gets the pick up with his Primal Rage. Well played from the Winston player on the side of Ragnarok, and Rink Guerrero following up, getting rid of one of the support players. Now that's half of that line gone for Beastie Boys. Shapeshifter alone on card, no heals, and that shows Lavius with the pick. Ragnarok just taking space on the high ground. Oh my god, Lavius! He has a family!
You got him when Trizzle had walls.
Oh my god, Lavius!
Trizzle had walls, and then I think that's the point where you know you ping the Widow, you know where she is, you can somewhat negate the walls. But that's a wonderful play from Ragnarok, individually and as a team.
Early dive from Lord of Terran with a nano boost. The Ana and the Kiriko isolate. A nano onto the enemy Kiriko. Looks like Metal Soul is trying his hardest to survive. Well played from Squishy, trying to save his Kiriko, but that doesn't help. Bradbus is picked off. Trizzle does follow up with the pick of Rinka Herrero. We're now equal. Sombra player might be a little more influential for Ragnarok than the Tracer is for Beastie Boys, and we see that a counter dive onto the enemy Winston. Terran looking to be a little bit isolated, but gets away with the help of support. Now Trizzle popping up, picks off Lavius, finally wins that 1-1, and it looks like Beastie Boys might be getting this fight. Terran again isolated, but he has the Primal Rage, and does he make it work? Gets a pick on the Widow player. Now isolating the Kiriko. Kiriko curiously knows Suzu, and Terran takes advantage of that. Getting the Kiriko as well. Terran just on a roll, playing like Prime Miro from Overwatch League Season 1. A hack onto Shapeshifter again, but he's able to get that Primal Rage out. In the backline though, Restioson picks up Bradbus. Trizzle switching off the Widow onto the Soldier player, but I'm not sure that's going to do much when Lavius is in your face hitting these headshots. Terran's still alive, traumatizing Squishy. A big EMP Squishy picked off. Shapeshifter 1 HP. Acted by KK. Metal's no touching. Bradbus back on the Hanzo, but Terran says no. Maybe not Bradbus.
KK versus Trizzle. I'm Bradbus. They got it. KK to cap. KK caps.
Oh my god, the Ana and Winston player from Ragnarok. Just playing like they've never played before.
That was an interesting fight, but certainly an entertaining one. Big ult exchanges from both teams, and eventually, and that was a really important fight for Ragnarok to win because that's the hardest point of the map to cap, and they importantly do cap it out. So they're going to get their 3rd point fight, and this is where Widowmaker again is going to shine. Widowmaker is so strong on this map. So they're really going to look to, Lavius has really played really well on this map so far, and hopefully he can continue that. But
again, Terran and Summer with the early dive. Trizzle hacked and isolated, getting attacked. Lavius with the mid-air shot on the enemy Widow as she's getting dive, and Terran just pressurizing the backline, pressurizing the high ground, absolutely dominating right now on the Winston. Furiously gets slept in the backline. I don't think they have the damage to, the Nano and the Primal. The backline of Beastie Boys is getting absolutely harassed by the Winston player, making so much space for his team, and his team taking advantage. The rally from the side of Restios and gonna make it hard to push through from Beastie Boys.
it was a good stun.
Oh my god, that is so well played from Ragnarok. Just utter domination.
Restioson stuns Shapeshifter there in spawn. He can't jump over and contest point. XvG Ragnarok cap with almost 2 minutes on the clock. Excellent play from them. Obviously the standout player there was Lavius, played exceptionally well, but I feel like Ragnarok played that very well, considering giving Lavius space, allowing him to be very free. I think also a shout out has to go to Restioson, who, with that Brigitte pick, shows up that backline so well. Brig obviously excels at denying the enemy the opportunity to dive, and having that Brigitte there means Lavius is so much more free. So, it's you say Lavius did this, Lavius did that, but it's not just Lavius. His team really enabled him to perform really well. Very interesting composition on the side of Beastie Boys we're seeing now. A complete 180 from what we've seen before.
Yeah, Trizzle letting go of the Widow 1v1, playing Sombra instead, maybe just seeing how well Lavius played and not wanting to challenge that. But still, I think even when Lavius had his downtimes, the backline from KK and Restioson and the Winston from Lord of Terran just doing so much work that even when the Widow player wasn't hitting all those many shots, they were still taking up so much space, taking up so many picks. Ragnarok just showing up in this third map.
Hopefully they can go on and take it and make this an entertaining series, and hopefully the reverse sweep. Or the bubble for the Widowmaker on the bell. This is some carefree strats right here.
An early recall first from Brad Best, because I'm pretty sure he got stuck on one of the doorways. But at least they forced Lavius back. Now, previously no Ana player for Shapeshifter, that means no Nano. Oh, Trizzle with an early pick into Lavius. Ana under pressure from on the side of KK. Shapeshifter and Metal Snow just doing so much work in the enemy backline. But they are a little bit isolated, not as much healing as Ragnarok, but that doesn't seem to matter when Metal Snow is landing headshots on your support players. Well played from the dive on the side of Beastie Boys.
Yeah, it's a very different style of approach from Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys played the first round trying to match the Widowmaker, match the Monkey Dive, playing a similar style but just with slightly different heroes. Here they've given up on that and they're saying, okay, we're going to deal with this Widowmaker and this hard backline by saying screw it, and we're just going to dive super aggressively as 5. You know, Lucio speeds us in and we all go in.
My!
Good pick from
That might have been the sickest shot of the night. Oh my god. Lavius does get picked off there, but not after eliminating the enemy team Sombra. Reciosen picking up the Kiriko. Curious positioning from Metal Snow there. The break player taking advantage of that. Terran alone isolating point, but he has his heal in the back on the high ground. Rinkaru is finally back on the Sombra, looking for a hack, but oh, Brad Best with a stick on. Lot of Terran takes the player, isolating the Winston. Trizzle with the hack on the KK gets picked off early, you know, that damage boost. Shapeshifter with a Primal Rage, maybe not needed considering they were winning that fight, but just to secure it, well played from Shapeshifter. And it looks like even with these star plays from Reciosen and Lavius, Ragnarok falling apart in that first point.
Yeah, it's, XvG's Ragnarok seem to be struggling to play into this aggressive style of Beastie Boys. The aggression is, you know, they don't have this, as much time to think, and they're struggling to deal with this aggression. Nice. No, he doesn't get back.
Shapeshifter playing really aggressive, even without the Primal Raise, going into the enemy backline, attacking all 4 of them. It's not paying off. Lavius is picked off.
Who needs tanks?
Squishy trades it right back. The tank players just isolating themselves on purpose. The Sombra is hacked and looks like Trizzle and Middle. Oh, gets out.
These teams are just saying, who needs tanks? We'll play Overwatch 3. 4v4, no tanks.
Lavius, so well played to get rid of the Metal Snow on the side of Kiriko. A lot of Terran taking advantage of the lack of heals, picking up Squishy, and curiously, the payload is in right underneath Spaceship. This might be one of the worst places to play against a dive and a Widowmaker, considering how hard it is to attack this.
This is I mentioned it on Beastie Boys' defense, but this is really where you want the point to stop as a defender because you can control this. Although that being said, XvG are giving a lot of space to Beastie Boys right now. They're playing bunkered in this mega room, but oh, that's a good
EMP. Oh,
EMP.
2 fat EMPs, but it looks like Beastie Boys are favored. 2 picks right afterwards. A Nano onto Terran, but that's matched by a beat from Squishy onto the rest of his team. Just big isolating, lots of ults committed from both teams. Primal Rage, even though they're missing 2, Terran seems to think it's winnable, but he loses his brick player and now he's all alone. The Monk player is hacked out, he's getting harassed from all sides to the high ground. Tries to get away, but Brad West is going to follow up on that. Terran's still alive, being kept alive by KK, but the point is being pushed. Lavius on the Reaper, Fade is out, Sombra back on from Rinkaru, but not going to do much. The Reaper is taking care of Sombra, is going to translocate out, and it's like Beastie Boys is going to cap the second point of Gibraltar.
Lavius gives up the Widowmaker and he's going to play onto the Reaper. I think if I say that and he goes immediately back to the Widowmaker, you know, there goes my point. I think Beastie Boys are diving very aggressively onto the backline of XvG and they're getting value out of it. XvG haven't yet figured out the way how to play this composition properly because it certainly can be done. They can negate this dive. They just haven't quite figured out how to do it. Maybe depending a bit too much on hoping that Lavius gets a pick. But it's still in the wheelhouse of holdable. You know, if it's 2 minutes and XvG have beaten their time and they've importantly won this fight and they're going to be coming up to their ult soon. They're going to have the rally, which I think is very important to counter the aggression of Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys don't really have, they have EMP coming up and they have Primal, which has got a lot of value in the past, but they don't yet have those support ults. So this is maybe a window that we can see Ragnarok hopefully winning this fight.
I mean, Trizzle and Rink are using EMP in the same fight, but Trizzle building he's up so much faster. Just showing you how maybe Rinku not very countable in the summer player, but that doesn't matter. A lot of Terran with an early pick onto the Squishy. KK with a pick onto the Kiriko, just showing up with that supportive. And it looks like Now that their backline is dismantled, Beastie Boys' dive is falling apart. But Brad Best and Shapeshifter say no, it isn't. Shapeshifter with a pick onto the Ana, Brad Best with a pick onto the Monkey, and now Beastie Boys taking space.
They can't really do anything though at the moment because the spawns are coming back into the sites. It's difficult for Beastie Boys to just walk forward, and now by the time they can,
big EMP.
Spawns are back. But the rally is good; it negates that EMP very well.
So well played.
Shapeshifter's gonna struggle there, yeah. Good rally.
What a well-timed rally. I mean, getting it right after the EMP as well, keeping his Monkey player and Sombra alive. Now, Rinkariri coming up with an EMP of himself. You know, EMP and all that can win a fight all by itself, so I think Ragnarok will be super happy with this fight. They get the fight win, they build up to that Nano, that Primal Rage, and that EMP. This is going to be a tough sum to swallow from Beastie Boys.
Yeah, but we've seen Rinkariri coming into EMP, like I said, but we've seen him use it a little late often. And I think we want to see him get a bit more value out of it. We don't want to see that late EMP, we'd like to see that a bit earlier. That's very perfect. As I said,
God. He's listening to the cast, guys.
As I said, a perfect EMP from Rinkariri, and it's the only ult they use, and they dive excellently. The EMP comes in, Lord of Terrans lands, squash. They're all dead.
I mean,
she got squashed.
Shapeshifter going for the dive on the backline, and then Lord of Terran and Rink, we just knowing that's when they go in for the counter dive. Perfect EMP placement, perfect Monkey jump placement, and just collapsing on that backline. Well played from Ragnarok. Both teams looking to stage up their dive. Shapeshifter is hacked before taking so much damage, but curiously, Drizzle picks off oh my god, no, it's an Ajax! Oh no! Oh my god, Lord of Terran coming in clutch for his team. If that beat goes through, I think Beastie Boys are still in this fight, maybe even winning it, but Lord of Terran picking up the Lucio player at that key moment. The Ajax from Squishy and Squishy showing his discontent in chat, talking about it went off on my screen. Well, in the end, it really doesn't matter.
It didn't go off. It didn't go off.
Terran with an early primal, maybe overextending a little and primaling just to save himself from that. Not getting much done, but really pressuring the backline of Beastie Boys.
Restioson educating Squishy. That was an excellent, a bunch of small plays all around. You know, the early hack, excellent play. And we see, I think Shapeshifter might go down here if he can't get that primal off, but he's going to get the primal off. Very good picks from the side of Beastie Boys. This might be the fight that seals third for them, but the spawns are going to be coming back from XvG, and we're going to see, I stand corrected, we're not going to see ults. Lavis has already stopped onto the Mei, hoping to stall out this pick, allow his team to cap even to get back. Restioson survives. That's huge.
Really well played from the big play. I mean, popping that rally, keeping KK up alive as long as possible, and that makes that works out. KK picking up the Monkey after anting them. They are going to go down to Brad, but the spawns favor Ragnarok. Lord of Terran with the pick of Squishy. Now, only the Kiriko there for heals. It's Lord of Terran and Rinkariri versus the world right now. And they're making work. Rinkariri with the pick of the Middle Snow. Lavius is back on the Tracer. The stall is no longer on. KK with a switch on the Kiriko. TP's out. Suzu is forced. But the spawns are coming in. Oh, a stick on the KK. Restioson back on the Brick player. Lavius is still alive. Does get hacked out, but staying alive with the spawns. The Break player doing their best to keep the rest of their team alive. Shapeshifter with a pick. Oh, a big EMP. That's such a... Oh my god, Squishy. That's right, favoring Ragnarok. Even though Beastie Boys keep getting picks, it looks like it's favoring Ragnarok. Lord of Terran is picking up 2 on point. Just Brad Best left. Lavius picks off the opposing enemy Tracer player.
Oh, Ajax. Ajax,
oh my god, Squishy.
Ajax, wherefore art thou? Thou art with Squishy. As we saw, I think if that beat had gone off, maybe it was winnable for Beastie Boys, because they had, I think, 3 or 4 people live at that point.
I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see the Ajax.
Huge. No, we're not. Huge EMP. Oh, we might. Oh no, no. It's immortalized in shame. Well played, Terran.
If you could ever ask for a perfect play of the game, that was it. What a great dive and an even greater circumstance for Ragnarok. Going up 2-1 again. I mean, picking up one map. You know, maybe favoring the reverse sweep coming up. Maybe not the cast
maybe,
Kingston.
Hopefully, you know, cast a curse. Yeah. What that means for the standings, the live standings, is Beastie Boys are currently 2-1 up against XvG. This means at best, Beastie Boys can win 3-1. Which would mean, as it stands, if Beastie Boys win this map, Beastie Boys finish 4th, XvG Ragnarok finish 5th, Eulogy finished 3rd. Eulogy finished 3rd with map differential of 3, Beastie Boys finished with a map differential of 2. Ragnarok finished 4th with a only based on head-to-head against Beastie Boys if Beastie Boys win the next map. That being said, if XvG can win this next map, XvG finished 3rd, Unity finished 4th, and Beastie Boys finished 5th. So, arguably, this is the most important map. If XvG can finish this map and win this map, it really doesn't matter if they win or lose. They will finish 3rd in the competition. So this is for all the marbles now. We're going to see what map they're going to choose shortly. Beastie Boys have the map pick, and it's on Ragnarok now. Can they win this map and solidify 3rd place?
I mean, just that alone just shows us how close the Rhino Showdown has been in the upper division. I mean, just 3 teams fighting with different spots, all based off of 1 map differential. That's crazy. Not even the old scriptwriters could have written this in. And Ragnarok just praying to pick up this push map. I mean, New Queen Street. It is push.
The owl scriptwriters do more tragedies. You know, they do. They do Las Vegas. They don't do romance and comedy. No, they do tragedy. Hopefully a reverse sweep on the cards here, as we head to New Queen Street, a push map, which is very different to the previous maps we've seen, the newest game mode added to Overwatch. I say newest, it's been out for what, 6 months more?
Maybe a little more, yeah.
It certainly is the newest, doesn't mean it's new. New Queen Street perhaps might favor the aggression of Beastie Boys. You know, push is a very aggressive game mode. So we saw at the end of Watchpoint Gibraltar, we saw Ragnarok adjust to that aggression of Beastie Boys. But you wonder, was that more because they had such a major spawn advantage and they could play with that spawn advantage and, you know, abuse that position they had in positional map control? Because they certainly won't have that spawn advantage here. Push is notorious for its awful spawns. You know, you have a bad spawn wherever you are. So if Beastie Boys can use that aggression and Ragnarok don't adjust to it, I think we see Beastie Boys take this map. And indeed, we are going to see, you know, a very aggressive composition coming out on the side of Beastie Boys. They're going to have the Reinhardt, and importantly, accompanied with that Lucio. We saw the Reinhardt earlier without the Lucio, and it did not work. We saw the Reinhardt with the Lucio, and it worked. On the other side, we're going to see Lavius onto the Widowmaker still. He's obviously feeling it tonight. And we're going to see the Monkey composition with the Lucio and the Sombra and the Kiriko from the side of XvG Ragnarok.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how these comps interact. I mean, Brawl into Dive, historically does favor the Brawl a little bit more due to like just the raw damage that the Reinhardt swings and the Reaper onto the Monkey. But if Lavius can pepper the backline, maybe, you know, put some pressure onto the enemy team and allow his team to get the space to execute their dives properly, this could be a very close map.
It's also I think we're going to see Lord of Terrans perhaps struggle a bit into the Reaper of Trizzle. If Bradbest can't contest Lavius will be very free, at which point they may struggle to get onto him. Interesting sort of poking stage here, as Ragnarok are happy to give Beastie Boys the cart while they look to kill Squishy, and indeed they are going to kill Squishy, but KK is going to get traded for it, and that isn't the best swap. Although Metal Snow goes down as well, so maybe not the worst. Interesting fight there, the strange positional foreplay.
That didn't even feel like a fight, if I'm being honest. Squishy maybe getting a little too aggressive with his Tracer player, and Ragnarok taking advantage of that. You know, the Monkey doesn't really have to aim at a Lucio, just kind of shoot in the general direction, and we see that happening with Squishy going down early. It was a very messy fight considering Ragnarok had the first pick, but Drizzle did pick off KK early, which made it a little closer. Shapeshifter switching off from the Reinhardt onto the Monkey and putting pressure onto the guy, you know, stalling it from that stairway like we see teams doing. Terran with a dive onto Metal Snow TP's away. Curiously, TP is no longer available for Kiriko, so if anyone wants to dive them now, like we see Terran doing, Kiriko is alone, forces out the Suzu, a very selfish Suzu from Metal Snow, but well placed because it keeps him alive. Falls from defensively placed from Bradbest, trying to isolate the...
Oh, KK goes down.
Oh my god, what an early beat from Reciosa. I mean, Squishy is only 70% to his beat now, but that's not helping much. Lord of Terran goes down, followed by Reciosa, and it looks like Ragnarok falling apart, even with a really well-timed and well-built-up beat. Squishy challenging the Widow player and winning it out. Maybe with a little bit of assistance from the rest of his team, not as fair as we wanted it to be, but well played from the dive of Beastie Boys.
Yeah, like you said, an early beat from the side of Restioson, but they really didn't do anything with it. And they were all very low. They didn't have their Kiriko, and then they just died after the beat decayed. We're going to see Lavius hop off the Widowmaker onto the Reaper, far more in an aggressive composition, and they get something out of that EMP. That's the important thing. They find Squishy, they find Drizzle, they find Metal Snow. Very good engage and very cheap engage as well. Only using the EMP, they're going to keep their Kitsune, which they've just built up, and they're going to keep their Primal Rage. On the other side, we're going to see Squishy is 8% off his next Ajax, and Metal Snow has his Kitsune. Drizzle has his Beyblade. This could be very, very big. If they can get value out of that, and maybe importantly get KK or Restioson, the fight could be over before it begins. That's an early pick, like you say, onto Brad Best.
I mean, without the Trace play, there's no more peppering the backline. It's going to be Shapeshift and Drizzle on their own. Drizzle already going in for a well-placed Sisu and TP from KK. It was so well played. Does TP into the hands of Shapeshifter's Primal. Now the Fate Force of Lavius, Terran with the Primal of his own. Drizzle picks off his opposing Reaper player. Now the Lucio of Restioson carrying Pepper in the background. Brad Best finally returns, picks off Restioson. Lord of Terran is left all alone, picks up Metal Snow, but that's not going to do much. The fight goes to Beastie Boys, and curiously, they did not get past Beastie Boys push on the robot, so it's still a good fight for Beastie Boys. Considering
you know what it is? It was that first fight when XvG Ragnarok just let Beastie Boys push the card, and now they're suffering for it. They haven't got the advantage, which you think after a big ult investment they hopefully should.
Squishy's beat finally goes in. Lavius will reply with the Death Blossom, that gets nothing. Rinkereri on the other hand gets 2, and the dive from Lord of Terror to help the Sombra player picks off Squishy. Rinker with 3 picks in that fight, and already up to their 96% to their next EMP.
Yeah, very well played. Lavius, doesn't get the final blows, but he certainly does a lot of damage, and the team clean up after it. Lavius goes down, but hopefully here they should at least equal. You'd hope they should get the lead, but it looks like Brad Best is going to be able to contest and deny that push. I stand corrected. Shapeshift is going to come in, but it's a good Kitsune and a good EMP, and they should be able to win with that.
I think we're just capitalizing on his own EMP. That is Sombra plays thinking to his own hands, and that means Ragnarok takes the league and most probably takes Spawn if they're able to stave off just a little bit longer. Well played, just only using that EMP and that rush.
So that was a very important fight for XvG Ragnarok, because importantly they're going to get to the checkpoint here, which is the most difficult part, because now they're going to be able to back up or take this fight if they want, because that's a big pick onto Drizzle. That was a very expensive fight for them, using 2 big ults. But it was an important fight, so it's justifiable. And Shapeshifter going down, and they're XvG capitalizing perfectly on the momentum here.
Going so messy, but there's no one on the car. KK finally moves to the car. Restioson would have been maybe a little bit of a waste. I mean, considering they were already winning that fight.
It's fine. Like you said, KK has gone back to the car. They don't have that healing.
Okay, you don't.
Rather keep that momentum, push forward, win that fight. That it's a good beat, and we saw some, maybe I saw a tactical squat there from a certain someone. Maybe not on the cast, but I saw someone doing it. I won't mention names. But now we're going to see maybe a fight that Beastie Boys should take, especially with that pick.
Curious TP from Lavius. Drizzle taking advantage of that, going in with the beat of his own, Squishy picking up 2, the Death Blossom picking up 2, and Brad Best with the final follow-up until Lord of Terran. If you're Ragnarok, I don't think you're angry at this. I mean, you've pitched us so far.
Exactly. You won the checkpoint fight, and you won the fight after checkpoint fight, which was very important. And then you let Beastie Boys win that fight. They used an important ult. They used their Death Blossom. Yes, Beastie Boys still have important ults. They have their beat coming up. They have their Kitsune Rush and their Primal. But it's not the worst, because you still have time to work with as Beastie Boy. It's back and forth.
Big pick from Squishy onto the ulting Lavius, but not before he gets Brad Best. But that doesn't matter. The Kitsune Rush from Metal Snow, even though they were hacked right afterwards, still helping the rest of their team. Rinko is a little slow on that hack. 2 seconds earlier, maybe able to swap the fight. Maybe stop Beastie Boys from getting the spawn advantage, because that looks like they're gonna get the checkpoint with this push.
Yeah, they are gonna get checkpoint, unless Rinkereri is gonna uncloak here and deny it. Yes, sneaky, nice, good job. Oh, and it's a good EMP, and importantly, before the checkpoint, if they can win this fight. Oh, another Ajax! Oh no, Squishy!
It's still equal. Both teams losing 2 players, but Beastie Boys losing both in support. It doesn't matter. It looks like the Reaper still being there, doing a lot to keep the rest of the team back. I mean, the only player left for
Oh.
Ragnarok is Lord of Terrans with the Primal Rage, but
Lord of Terran.
doesn't
His
look like...
HP's okay for now. He's got about 70% of his HP, but I don't think he's going to have the respawns back. Squishy's had enough of Ajax.
The rage quit question mark?
Oh, well, they're all, yeah. Rip Squishy, yeah. I don't think Terran is going to be able to stall long enough to allow his teammates to get back. I think maybe Lavius. I'm not sure because I can't see, but I think Lavius might be the closest. But again, it's 3v1 at the moment. I like the fight. I like the fight. From XvG. It was a very good stall from Rinku Haru. He just uncloaked next to cart just before they got the checkpoint and EMP'd, and then the dive came in. Unfortunately, they didn't win it as they'd like to have won it. It remains to be seen if they can stall enough to win it. But with Trizzle having that Death Blossom, I don't think it's going to be enough to deny it. And then if Beastie Boys do win this fight, which they are likely to, it's a dangerous position now. We're talking about XvG Ragnarok are very comfortable with their push, but now it's more dangerous because it's not that far from where the lead isn't that far if Beastie Boys get this cap. And Link used his EMP. Terran is using his Primal. They're only really going to have their Kitsune Rush and probably their Death Blossom soon. So it's a tricky situation for Ragnarok. Not obviously they still have the lead and they still have that advantage, but it's not as one-sided as this. XvG are going to win this. It's very 50-50. I still say at this point.
Yeah, I mean, even if they win the next fight, considering Beastie Boys come out on top in this fight, Beastie Boys will have that spawn and they'll have the advantage to push forward to. Hopefully, Trizzle can hold on to his ult for that coming fight if they do lose that fight. That means Ragnarok are gonna have to fight back many fights just to get back to where they were in the beginning with that big lead. And I think Beastie Boys wants to keep advantage of this. They want to keep that momentum rolling because Pushy is a very momentum-based game mode, and right now it seems to be on the side of Beastie Boys. But considering Squishy did just have his Ajax, which is, I'm pretty sure he's Ajax more than he's landed beats in this game.
I've seen 2 beats and I've seen 3 Ajaxes. I might be wrong on the numbers.
We'll get that fact checked soon, but
yeah, we'll get our fact checkers on it.
Ragnarok can count on maybe the mental toll on the Lucio player just a little bit.
Load shedding, perhaps load shedding has spared Squishy of Lucio. No, that wouldn't be the best for Beastie Boys. But I think, looking at this current fight we have in front of us, which you can't see at the moment watching, but Lord of Terrans has about 70% of his HP in Primal Rage. He is currently smacking Shapeshifter into a corner, who has probably about 10% of his HP. Shapeshifter does not have Primal Rage. I think it's likely that Shapeshifter dies here, but Trizzle is standing right behind Lord of Terran, and Trizzle has Death Blossom. Trizzle is also playing Reaper. I don't think Terran is going to survive very long into Reaper and Tracer shooting him point-blank range. On the other side of things, we have Lavius trying his best to be a spooky ghost and get back to point. This... if Terran can stall this long enough, I'll be very impressed in Terran.
I mean, that's all he needs to do, right? Just stall, because the Kiriko and the now Lucio player is still in spawn from the side of Beastie Boys, and they don't have that spawn advantage just yet. So if Terran can stall this out, maybe just enough time for his Reaper player to come back to pressure out Trizzle and Brad, but maybe this is holdable just before they get that checkpoint.
Okay, we have confirmation that Squishy is back in the game. He has turned off his Ajax syndrome, hopefully. He will unfortunately be dead once he regains. He will respawn in spawn. So however close he was to the fight, he will have to make that walk from spawn again. So here we go. Can Terran Lord survive?
Shapeshifter curiously gets away.
They
He's
back
still surviving.
Beastie Boys back off? Question mark?
Maybe they foresaw. Oh my god! I can't put that together. I don't understand why. Maybe because they knew they didn't have any support players.
Maybe the Squishy DC.
The Faye from Lavius is forced out, and he's alone on point, isolated from his support players and his tank player. and Beastie Boy takes advantage of that. Trizzle picking off his opposition and Reaper player, and Beastie Boy is taking advantage. Maybe the backup wasn't that bad. I mean, now they have more picks, they have a more stable team, they have both support players, and KK committing the rush, but
oh no!
Trizzle with the Blossom in the back line, Snow picking up Rinkaroo, and Shapeshifter picking up Lord of Terran. Maybe that was a smart backup from Beastie Boys. Maybe they had the foresight we didn't, Fluffy. Yeah, it seemed to have worked out for them.
And the alternative argument is maybe that was a catastrophe of misplays from XvG Ragnarok. Lavius walking into the enemy team without his Fade and getting picked, and then Kitsune Rush comes out and Frizzle just Death Blossoms into it and kills everyone. It's not the best. Although that being said, Lavius still does have a Death Blossom and the beat on the side from the side of Restiosen. So this could be a good engage. It's gonna get squishy.
Restiosen now with the beat, not Ajax, and showing the effective was Rinkaroo picking up Shapeshifter, Lavius, and Rinkaroo following with the rest. Bradbest picking up Terran, but that's not going to mean much. If they pick up Bradbest, yeah, this is going to be a big thing. I don't think Bradbest gets spawn. Fluffy, outside of the EMP fights, have you seen Rinkaroo do much on the Sombra play? I feel like he's been silent outside of the EMP fights.
He has been getting his EMP quickly, which is the important part. XvG Ragnarok backing up. It goes down, that's bad, and the EMP comes up. They're going to trade Kirikos. That you cast a curse, but positively, you say, does Rinkaroo do anything? And then he gets a wonderful EMP to make up for his Kiriko going down. That was a very good play from Rinkaroo, because like I've said earlier in this cast, if you lose someone early, which has been an issue for Ragnarok, you have to use ults to equalize that fight. So you have to make the decision to either back up and take the 5v5 or use ults and equalize that fight. So a good fight there from XvG, but Lavius makes that same mistake again and goes in too deep.
An early push from Shapeshifter, making sure that Ragnarok does not get the spawn, and it seems to be working out. They pick up the Lavius, now the backline being pressured away. KK picked up by Bradbest, and his Terran's alone, isolating in the backline with the Primal Rage. It doesn't get much besides keeping him alive. And it looks like Ragnarok falling again to, like you said, getting picked up first. I mean,
it's a worrying situation now, because we're looking at last fight here. It's overtime has been triggered. We're going to go into overtime. So now it's XvG need to win one fight. They need to get them Beastie Boys off of this point. They don't have any ults currently. They're going to have their Kitsune Rush soon, and they're going to have their Death Blossom soon. On the other side, Squishy's going to have his beat, and Trizzle has his Death Blossom. And we've seen Trizzle get a lot of value out of his Death Blossoms. Whichever team can really get value first is likely to win. Squishy's hacked. Squishy's going to go down. Lavius, it's this Beyblade spinning. Oh, but
Trizzle coming on top, taking up Restiosen and then Lord of Terrans.
Oh no. It's a better Death Blossom from the side of Trizzle, and the cart is so close to being capped. Lavius is going to go over to the Tracer to try contest. KK has her Kiriko rush, Kitsune rush, but it's difficult. Rinko goes down. This is dangerous. Restiosen is going to be able to touch.
Squish is coming back with the beat, and it saves Shapeshifter. Shapeshifter is falling so low. Bradbest with a stick on the Lord of Terran falling. Bradbest picking up KK, and it looks like no reverse sweep for us tonight, because it looks like Ragnarok is falling apart right now.
No, after playing so well, just a few individual misplays on the side of XvG, and it costs them very hard. Beastie Boys take the series 3-1. That was XvG's to lose, and unfortunately, they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Trizzle here with a good play of the game. What this means is, with a 3-1 win, Eulogy can be confirmed to finish 3rd place. Congratulations to Eulogy. Beastie Boys finish 4th place, and XvG Ragnarok finish 5th place. So well played to all these teams. That is confirmation of how the affected teams are affected. A very good game overall.
I mean, really entertaining. I don't think that 3-1 scoreline really affects how close it was, considering like how back and forth every map has been.
No. It was a very, very close match.
A few misplays from Ragnarok, setting them apart from Beastie Boys just that slightly.
I think, I think if both these teams are playing, I feel like both teams weren't playing at their best here. Maybe I think as the team play of XvG was fairly good. We saw good team play from the side of XvG. But those individual plays were slightly lacking, and I don't mean the good ones, I mean the bad ones. We saw a couple misplays from the side of XvG Ragnarok, and the misplays that we saw from Beastie Boys weren't as bad or as capitalized on. I mean, we did see misplayers on the side of Beasty Boys.
We saw like three
We
Ajaxes.
saw 3. I mean, so let's just recap the score. We have Beasty Boys 3, XvG Ragnarok 1, and Squishy 3 Ajax.
You know, yeah, I mean, Squishy won but still lost in the end somehow. A little bit unlucky for the Beastie there, but I think I agree with you. Like, just the magnitude of the mistakes made by Beastie Boys is just overwhelmed by the magnitude of the mistakes made by Ragnarok on an individual level.
I think Beastie Boys capitalize better on the mistakes of and that's kind of how Beastie Boys have always played. They capitalize on your mistakes. You know, every iteration of Beastie Boys has capitalized on mistakes, and XvG really didn't do that. Beastie Boys made the mistakes, and XvG didn't capitalize on them. But moving on, I have a question to ask you. Who is your player of the match?
My player of the match. I'm not sure. I feel like I haven't really looked at players individually. I was kind of looking at the whole macro of things.
Okay.
But if I had to choose one, it would probably be, a lot of Terrans on that Winston. I feel like he got so much value in the enemy backline. He did so much with the Primal Rages. I think just shy of some mistakes from the rest of the team around him, I feel like he stood out today for me.
Okay. I mean, it's a fair pick. I'll go in the other direction and choose someone from Beastie Boys because they did win the series. I have 2 people to highlight. The first is I thought, we were speaking about capitalizing on mistakes, was in that last map we saw it expertly. Trizzle on the Reaper, Trizzle in general in the series was very, very good, but on that Reaper on that last map he was exceptional. Like, we saw every time that XvG Ragnarok looked like they had the advantage, we saw a great Death Blossom from the side of Trizzle, and it would just negate all the good work that XvG had done. So Trizzle is my player of the match, but my second nomination is because you know how I do things. My player of the match is not necessarily the best player, it is the most entertaining player. And for that reason, I give it to the one and only Mr. 3 Ajax Squishy.
In the end, I'm pretty sure he got 3 beats up and 3 Ajaxes, so that kind of cancels each other out. Yeah, I mean... Okay, just an update from our backline. Apparently, he got 4 beats off. So,
positive? Okay.
Squishy's showing up where he counted. Doesn't matter that he whipped 3 of them. He put down 4 of them, and overall that's a +1.
I mean, he did win the series. Like, let's not take that away from him. He did win the series 3-1.
Yeah, and considering Lucio isn't a player he plays very often, I think he played really well. All things considered. Even though he did Ajax, that's kind of not his fault, but...
I mean, it is his fault.
I think well played from the side of the Lucio player. I mean, Lucio isn't, like we spoke in the beginning, he's not a traditional main support player, but he still showed up on that role.
So, this was our last cast of the upper bracket for the Rhino Showdown, but we still have potentially the most important match coming up tomorrow.
I think it's the most important, yeah.
I think it's the most... I am correct, it's tomorrow, yes?
Sunday.
Sunday, okay, I stand corrected. Sunday is the most important match for everyone, and we hope everyone tunes in because that will be the promotion playoff match between our very own Mr. Babs, representing Powered Up Possums, and Valkyries, I believe?
Yeah, Valkyrie? It is Valkyries.
Yeah, Valkyrie, not plural.
Valkyrie, yeah, my bad.
Valkyrie. That match, the winner will be in the first division, with the loser being relegated to the second division. So a huge match with huge stakes there. So we hope everyone tunes in for that on Sunday. This has been Kauz's Rhino Showdown. Babs, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Babs_MII.
You can find myself at Fluffy53Rob, and you can find our lovely producer, Mr. Peach, at the Peach ZA. ZA Overwatch, Twitch, if you're watching that, you obviously know what the handle is, but that's at ZA Overwatch. The YouTube at ZA Overwatch ZA. Sorry, at Overwatch ZA. And Kauz's Twitter is at ZA Overwatch. We hope you follow us to stay up to date with everything happening in local Overwatch. I have been Fluffy. Babs?
It's been a great game. What a great game to cast. Make sure to show up for Sunday's game. It's going to be a great game. I will be playing there. I'll be sure to give Peach lots of game. I mean, plays to spectate.
And it's okay to flame Babs in chat.
It is. You know what? If you're gonna flame anyone, flame me because that's just how Kaza works. It's been great, everyone.
We hope to see you all on Sunday. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.